Good morning. It is comfy mode chat video kind of thing today. I'm in my dressing gown, I'm super comfy. I was recently asked to tour my everyday pencil case. So rather than doing an aesthetic, here's a pencil, and then do a voiceover, I felt in the mood to just do a chatting, real-time tour of the pencil case. I have modified my everyday sketching kit quite a bit this year. There's a lot of favourites, but there's expansions on it, and there's also some new things as well to me this year. I tend to flip between this pencil case, which is a Licky Lab Smart Fit. There we go. And this pencil case, which is a handmade pencil case by Talent Craft. I've found over the years now that I know what I prefer in my everyday pencil case. It's not true of like my pencil cases where I store things I only occasionally reach for, but for my everyday pencil case, I like a case that can open up like this, or a pencil case that can open up like this, because I want to be able to easily see and reach for what I'm wanting straight away. But we're back in this one at the moment. I'd probably say I've been back in this one for December. I can't remember when else in the year I've been using this one. I was using this one for quite a while this year, but I tend to flip-flop backwards and forwards between the two, depending on what I feel like at the time. So this is my everyday kit, and this is for my sketchbooks and also for most of my illustrations, at least to start them off. And I've found that I've started narrowing down my essentials more and more now, and then having my sort of DLC content, my downloadable, well, it's not downloadable, my extra sketching content, we'll call it that. My extra sketching content, ESC, there we go. My ESC pencil cases I have a wider variety of things in, but for my everyday sketching, I like to have standbys, and that reduces my overwhelm, because I, as quite a few people can probably relate, can get decision paralysis, and I found that by narrowing down what I use, that prevents me from getting that, and I just get to sketching. I'm going to start with erasers before I end up rambling even further, even though this is just a comfy tour. Starting with erasers, we've got the classic here, and I keep it in this little pocket. This is a kneaded eraser. This one is from Faber-Castell. I've tried a few different ones now. This is the softest that I've come across, and in summer it can get quite sticky. But it's a very good kneaded eraser. It's a classic standby for me. I keep them in little pots that I reuse. I don't even remember where this pot has come from. I've had it so long now. But I keep them in pots in order to prevent cat hair from getting in them, because cats, but also dust and things as well, because pencil cases end up gathering all kinds of stuff as you use them, and if you just leave it in your pencil case, it's gonna get dusty. We've got two more erasers here. These are stick erasers, so I'll start off with this one. This is the Mono Zero Tombow, and this is a 2.3. If it wants to focus. 2.3, there we go. Millimeter. We're doing the makeup thing here. I'll show you them. So it's a very fine rubber, as they're called in the UK. Very fine eraser for details. And then we've got this boy, which is a lot thicker. I think this is 5mm. But this is the Pentel Click Eraser. This is a new thing for me that I picked up in a physical art store. I much prefer going to physical art stores. I feel like it's a lot more satisfying to me to be able to see everything and to be able to know if I really want it. I feel like if I see it, I'll know if I really want it or not, or if I really need it. I make much more informed decisions and also have just a much more satisfying experience with a physical art store, but they're harder and harder to find. I have to travel so far in the UK to get to a physical art store now. Where should we go next? Should we do pens or should we do pencils? Well, since I did erasers, let's do pencils. So I've got 4 pencils in here. And I use mechanical pencils in my everyday kit, but I do have a lot of wooden pencils that I really, really love. I keep them separately. I either keep them in a little pencil pot on my desk, so we've got some here, or I keep them in my expansion pencil cases. But for my everyday kit, I just use mechanical pencils because, again, it's all about removing any obstacles to sketching. Just grab it and go. I don't have to grab it and then be like, oh, is this sharpened? Or I should go get my sharpener. Or I should sharpen it. I just grab it and go. I've got 2 HB pencils and 2 2B pencils here, and all 4 of them are different thicknesses. This is a 0.5. It's got white writing on it, so I don't know how easy it is to see, but it's a Pentel 200 series, which is the same as this one. And this is a 0.5mm, and it's got HB lead in it. This is a 0.9. This is also Pentel, but it's the Graph Gear 1000 series, and this is 0.9 HB lead. The nice thing about the Graph Gear is you can actually twist this to show what grade of lead is in it. And then we've got the 2Bs. So this is also the 200 series, but it is 0.7, and this is 2B. And we've got 0.3, so this is the thinnest, and this is in the Pentel Arens, which is supposed to support the lead more. And I picked up the Arens rather than picking up the 0.3 200 series to just see if having the lead support system would prevent the lead from breaking, because it's such a thin lead. So that's my pencil kit. I've got a wide variety of thicknesses. This acts the most like a wooden pencil, but not quite. If I wanted to really have like a wooden pencil experience, I'd use the clutch pencils with the, is it 2mm lead in them? But those can require sharpening, whereas this one doesn't. And I've got a nice variety of HB and 2B lead. So that's my pencils. Let's get into the ink. Let's get into the ink. So I love sketching in ballpoint pen. I tend to use Bic. There we go, that's the right way around. And most of the time I'll be using these 4-in-1s because I can fit more colours in smaller space in my pencil case. But the classic Bic Crystal are also great. I've been using the same 4, so I got a pack of black. It was a pack of 4. It was a black, a green, a blue, and a red. And I've been using these for ages, and they're not running out. Same with this one. I've been using this 4-in-1 for ages now, and it's still got plenty of ink in it. But I've expanded a little bit. So these 2 were my original 2 that I have been using for a while. You'll sometimes see me in some sketchbook videos using like the purple, and then I'll use purple marker over the top. Water-based though. Don't mix ballpoint pen with alcohol marker. Use the ballpoint pen on top of alcohol markers because these are not marker proof. They are waterproof though, so great for using with watercolour, but not with marker over the top. This has your classic red, blue, black and green, and it's like a dark green, dark blue. This one is, I think it's called like the Fun series, and this one has light blue, light green, purple and pink. So these two together provided me with a nice array of colours to use, and you can also layer them on top of each other to create colours. But I did feel like I was really missing a yellow / orange. I can mix an orange by mixing together a yellow and a red. So at the very least I was missing a yellow. Here comes this one. So I ended up expanding my collection by adding this. It is kind of annoying that ideally I would have liked to have just picked up a yellow or an orange ballpoint pen, but and I do know you can get them in other brands. I've struggled to find just a yellow or just an orange Bic like crystal, but I don't think they come in the crystal, they come in like the fun colour range. I've struggled to find just one, and I don't need to buy a giant bag of multiple pens. So the easiest solution without waste and without spending a lot of money was to just pick up this. And I know I'll get through these two colours because I do like sketching with the pink and the purple. But this adds a yellow and an orange. These both are fluorescent, so they're very, very neon yellow and neon orange. I would only use them for sketchbooking because fluorescent and neon colours will not be very light fast. They will fade, but in a sketchbook, typically, you know, your sketchbook isn't going to be constantly open and exposed to light. So for sketching purposes, for fun, I'll use these. This is more for sketching rather than for illustrating. Onto the ink. Speaking of illustrating, so my main inks. My main colour is black for ink, but my main pens that I tend to use are brush pens and fine liners. So this is a very well loved fine liner that it never seems to run out of ink. I've used it on so many illustrations and it isn't running out of ink. This is a 0.25mm, and you're gonna have to trust me on that. Micron. I don't know if you can even make out anything on here anymore, but this is a 0.25mm. This is what I use for my thin lines. I would like to get an even thinner micron now. I do have thicker ones than this, but I keep them in my inking pencil case. So when I'm doing an illustration and I need a wider variety of ink, I'll pop into there. But for just my sketchbooking, I keep these two. So I also have a Pigma FB, if it wants to focus. There we go. This is a felt tip brush pen, and it's quite a soft one in comparison to the array of felt tip brush pens you can get out there. This is pretty soft, which just means that you can very quickly get thick lines with it. Both of these are waterproof, both of them are marker proof, and both of them are light fast. So this would be the main ink I would use for doing illustrations with, and know that they definitely will be fading resistant. But again, this is just for sketching right now. Now we have the fun stuff. So this is a white gel pen. This is what I use for sketching on grey paper or tan paper, so toned paper, to add white in, and it'll also be something that I use just on top of markers on top of watercolour to add white back in. It's one of the ways you can add white back in. There's other ways as well, like I've got chalk pencil and colour pencil. Also have Posca pens. There's lots of ways to add white back on top of colours and on top of toned paper, but this is the one that I just keep in my pencil case because I find that it covers the most ground for me when I'm sketching. Some background stuff. Recently I've been enjoying adding black backgrounds on my sketches, and for that I use this acrylic marker. This is a refillable one, so you can unscrew and refill the essentially acrylic paint, but this is a bullet tip. And then this is a pigment brush. This is also waterproof ink, but I don't tend to use it with watercolour. I'll use it as a background. So this is a long felt, I think it's felt, yes it's felt, like a felt sponge kind of tip. And this is orange ink, and I'll use this as a background on sketches. So those I use for backgrounds. We'll just get this out of the way. This is a ruler. This is a 15 centimeter 6-inch ruler. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I tend to use it for putting straight boundaries on sketches and illustrations. So like if I'm doing a watercolor and I want to have a centimeter border around the edge, I'll use the ruler. Finally, we have these two pens here, and these are also picked up alongside this at an art store. I have never come across these before, and they had a whole range of them, which was very exciting, and you could try them, and that was what made me fall in love with them. I use these for gesture drawing and for thumbnailing. So these are fine liners. They're not waterproof. And I've got, I can't remember the exact colours of them, but I think this is pastel mint and either dusty rose or pastel violet, something like that. These are the pens that I reach for when I want to get ideas out quick, or I want to get drawings out quick, so like for gesture drawing. And I don't want to be able to erase, but I also don't want to be able to build up the ink. So for example, like with this, you can go in very light. This just lays down ink, but it's also not as intimidating as going in straight with a black pen. So what I can do is I can put down an additional, what's the word? I'm losing my words. An initial, there we go. An initial structure to a sketch idea or a thumbnail, and then I can either leave that as is, or I can go in and refine it with other pens on top, or even pencil on top. I will grab an example of how I tend to use these. There we go. So this is an idea for an illustration that I want to do, and I did it with the mint. And I just had an idea, and I knew that I just wanted to get the idea out onto paper, and I didn't want to fuss with it. So I just got the pen and just started scribbling out the idea just to get it out of my head. And again, my sketching kit is all about removing as many blocks as possible for me. And then I also wrote down things that I want to include in the illustration. So the ideas for colours I had in my head, the ideas for the background, and just get them all out and onto the paper, because then I can go back to this when I get round to doing the illustration and I have a much clearer idea of what was in my head at the time. I tend to use my sketchbooks as a place for all sorts, really, but one of the things that I like to use my sketchbooks for is just getting my ideas out of my head, even if I'm not going to have time yet to pursue all of the ideas. I at least want to get them onto the page, and then I can go back and explore them later. So these pens have been great for that. So here we have it. This is my everyday sketching kits. If I were to go out sketching and I really wanted to just almost delete decision paralysis and overwhelm, I would only pick like one thing in here. So I would only pick just one ballpoint pen, or I would pick a pencil and an eraser, or I would just pick just the fine liner or something. I would only pick one of these things and bring it out with me. But I've found that for my sketching kit, I at least want to be able to have the pencils, the ballpoint pens, the inking, and then just like a little bit of fun. So some of the backgrounds. Again, this isn't everything I use in my sketchbooks, but this is my essentials. And then I'll have extra things on top of that, like different wooden pencils and markers. Colour pencils will all either be in the pencil pot on my desk or in their own pencil case. So thank you to the people who asked for this tour. I hope that it was interesting. I wanted to just be chill and talk with you today. Just like I'm talking to an art friend, right? Just be cozy. It's the cozy time of year. It's the hibernation time of year between Christmas and New Year. So I don't know when this is going to come out though. It might come out right after New Year. Let me know in the comments what some of your essentials are. Do you have like one thing that you always go towards? Is it just like one particular pencil? Do you have a little more variety? Do you have a giant pencil case? Are you a minimalist or a maximalist when it comes to your sketching kit? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!